Look his face.
Yeah.
He's dangerous.
He's special.
You can like.
The guy is special. Everything that could possibly be special about this guy is special. A guy like this is the type of guy that you love to watch and follow. The most special guy that I've ever come across.
Now, what stands out to you between Charles Oliveira and Justin Gaethje?
I mean, it's a sick fight. It's one of the ones I've looked forward to the most this year. I mean, as soon as Oliveira won, I mean, Oliveira is just like, it's all his fights right now are just like, there's drama, you know, and there's skill and there's action. Like the guy is all action. He can finish you at any moment. But you know, after his last fight, I said this, and I think some people thought, I don't know, they pushed back on it a little bit, but I'll stand by it. He's a little flawed. Like he's so aggressive, and his defense sometimes gets him in trouble, he gets knocked down. He's been knocked down in both of his title fights, and you know, Gaethje's seen that, and you know, believes that he can put this guy away. And I mean, Gaethje, you say the same thing about him every single fight, man. I mean, like the leg kicks, the heart that he's got, just the mindset that he brings into a 5-round fight. It's one of those perfect fights where I feel like both guys are like peaked, you know, like Charles Oliveira is like peaking right now, just everything firing. You know, if you look at Gaethje, like everything's been firing for him too, with the exception of Khabib. And, you know, no one fires well against Khabib. So I just think it's going to be a really, really, really good fight. It's not really one of those. I know that they're kind of going back a little bit with trash talk, and maybe they will next week as we get closer. But it's a fight that doesn't need trash talk, man. It's just like a really good fight.
Do you think, at least for me, what stands out is when is Charles Oliveira going to shoot for the takedown, and how important is it that he does get this first takedown? You know, if let's say Justin Gaethje stuffs it, then does Charles Oliveira get discouraged, or does he keep going for it?
Yeah, that's what's interesting about Oliveira, though, is I don't think he, and maybe I could be completely wrong, but I don't think he goes into a fight thinking like, all right, this is what I'm going to shoot, or I'm going to look for this opportunity to shoot. I think like he's just so confident in all of his skills right now that he's just doing what great fighters do, and that's reacting in the moment and just like taking what's presented in front of them. And a lot of times, man, you see that like his ability to get guys down or to finish them. I mean, of course, some of it is drawn up and it's tactical, but it's just like in chaos, you know, like he's just so good in chaos of like grabbing people and putting them in bad positions. So it wouldn't surprise me if it's kind of that type of fight. Like, don't get me wrong, I don't think he wants to just kind of stand there with Gaethje. I think if he could get him to the ground, he would love to, but I don't think he's going to like necessarily feel like he's forced to, which is also why like I think the fight's going to be good, you know.
Can we get an official Brett Okamoto prediction for the main event? Is that allowed?
Yeah. I'm kind of, I got a gut feeling about Gaethje. I got a gut feeling about Gaethje, which kind of surprised me because I feel like, and I don't even know if I said this on any broadcast or any coverage, but I kind of had a gut feeling about Oliveira against Chandler and Poirier. I mean, all these fights are so close, as you can see. Like Poirier could have won that fight, Chandler could have won that fight. But just something about it, I was like, man, it just kind of feels like Oliveira's time to me. And now for some reason going into this one, it feels like Gaethje's time to me, but who knows? I'm wrong all the freaking time. So
what about the rematch in the co-main event, Rose Namajunas versus Carla Esparza? Who do you think is going to win that?
I mean, I think the most popular answer is Rose, right? I mean, Carla is like really great at what she does, but I think Rose has developed to a stage where, you know, just kind of crowding her and taking her down. I just don't think that's going to work for 5 rounds. So I wouldn't say that it's an easy fight, but I do think I'll be surprised if Carla wins. Like that's one that would surprise me.
Do you think Rose finishes her, or do you think it goes to a decision?
I think she finishes her, man. I think I'm almost kind of like pick Rose by finish all the time these days because she's just such a finisher. You know, she's such a talented finisher, which is crazy because that's, you know, 115-pound weight class. You just don't see like, and she doesn't look like this big, strong, you know, but it's all her technique and sucking people in and landing that great shot. So yeah, I would say she finishes there.
And then a fight that I think excites the fans most, Michael Chandler versus Tony Ferguson. Obviously, Tony Ferguson is on a rough run of form. Michael Chandler, even though he's lost his last 2, they were very exciting fights. Who do you think is going to win that?
it's hard to predict a Tony Ferguson fight, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, I'm not saying like you look at what he's you look at where he is in his career, and obviously his last few performances haven't been great, and he's dealt with some injuries, and he might just be done. I mean, he might be,
Yeah.
but I don't really think that that is like a guarantee. I mean, he's been losing to tough guys. The circumstances around it. I mean, he lost that Khabib fight, and then he had to turn around and fight Gaethje in the middle of a pandemic, and that was like the first one, when everything
Yeah.
was kind of crazy, and so you can give him a little bit of a pass for some of these
Mhm.
fights that he's lost, but I don't know. I mean, you don't really hear much about Tony. You don't really hear much in by way of is he working with anybody? He's not giving many interviews. I'll be interested to see what his frame of mind is and what he looks like, on fight week, because how Chandler's going to come 100% prepared and confident. So I want to see what kind of Tony we're getting next week.
The thing that interests me most is, fans are saying, "Oh, Tony's washed. He's just going to get beaten up on." But we haven't really seen Tony stand up outside of the Gaethje fight. Yes, he got beat up in that fight, but against Beneil Dariush and against Charles Oliveira, we didn't see much stand up. So I think his stand up is still there. He's just struggling against these really powerful grapplers who just keep him down on the mat.
Yeah, and Chandler's another guy who has a history of getting knocked down.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm not counting Tony out of that fight at all. But yes, I mean it's fair to say that his back is against the wall, and he really needs to look good.
Do you think if he loses, he should retire and leave?
If he loses bad, maybe. Yeah, I just don't really see and that's up to him. And it's tough for some of these guys to retire when they finally have reached a point where they're making good money, but yeah, I mean, he's at that point in his career where it's not just that he's losing, he's not being competitive in some of these fights, so if it's that case again, then yeah, I'm sure it'll be a consideration for him.